International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening and welcome to Today on One. I'm Maggie Forciedo. In the news tonight, AR threatens legal action against Labour Commissioner over delaying registration of union. Law enforcement overwhelmed by permit seekers and lockdown defaulters. Founders of a local travel agency complain about the lack of support for startups. And Roundup, Business on One, Comments Corner, Sports and the weather. Now for the news in detail. Stanley Kavetu, the head of legal affairs for the Affirmative Repositioning Movement AR, claims that the Labour Commissioner and the Labour Minister are deliberately delaying the Revolutionary Union's registration. According to Kavetu, the AR will be forced to approach the Labour Court. Joseph Ilonga has more.
I was under the impression that after the meeting, this guy under the impression, Labour Commissioner, I was under the impression that after the meeting you had with my colleagues, RU was changed to Narrato. I have completed Narrato review and will be requesting the documents of RU for review next week. This was on the 25th of June. And we responded to him that this is what is happening in your office. What type of laxity in a very important office?
The AR leadership at a recent media briefing in Windhoek alleged that the movement, through their intelligence, has heard that copies of the Revolutionary Union's constitution have been made available to the SWAPO party by the Minister of Labour and the Labour Commissioner for inspection before the Labour Commissioner confirms the registration of the Revolutionary Union.
The Office of the Labour Commission, under the ideologically absent Lutoni Nyoma and the rest of the Southwest Africa unions, made copies of our applications and constitutions and have been discussing it frequently at late meetings at Southwest Africa's headquarters. And then we reworked our constitution from the first page. They even had an issue with, no, the scope must come before the objectives, the what, you see. But we felt to ensure progress, let's accept the changes they are proposing. And when we made our second submission, it was accompanied by a detailed letter setting out how we complied with Section 53 of the Labour Act, because it sets out what must be contained in the Constitution. So we had to take it upon ourselves just to make it easier for them and fast that the scope is contained in Clause 1 of our Constitution. When it comes to, for example, the National Executive Committee, the National Executive Committee is contained in what clause of our Constitution? Because we wanted to assist these people to study the Constitution again and give us feedback immediately. But that has since failed. And that explains the intelligence we have obtained, that they've been discussing it at the Southwest headquarters and they've been at pain and struggling. How are we going to delay the approval of this constitution or the registration of this revolutionary union?
Kavetu went on to state that the AR has filed a complaint with the Office of the Ombudsman and that if nothing is done, the AR would be forced to go to the Labour Court to have the Labour Commissioner provide the Revolutionary Union's certificate of registration.
Although we submitted a complaint with the Office of the Ombudsman and we know the operations of the office, as I've alluded to earlier, that they will probably not do it on our behalf as they should be doing things. So we will be forced at one point to even approach the Labour Court and seek a declarata for the Labour Commissioner to issue the certificate of registration. Despite all that and all the fights, as we announced on the 8th of April 2021, that we will no longer wait with regards to the recruitment drive. We have done a lot of recruitment. The application forms is already out, and we have seen so much interest in most industry, mining industries, the state-owned enterprises, which are tired of this exploitation by their bosses and all of that. So the recruitment drive is still ongoing, and we are waiting for the day we get the certificate. So we announce. Once we receive the certificate, we'll just announce Coca-Cola has been taken over, Namib Mills have been taken over by the Revolutionary Union. We are aware of issues such as is it B2 Gold, Chuarongo. We have taken over even employees at State House, the kitchen staff, those who cook for the president. They are saying, when is the union coming? We are tired here. We are just cooking. We are not even allowed to taste.
Today on One contacted the Labour Ministry for a response to these allegations, but efforts to obtain a comment before airing the story proved to be futile. Today on One will continue to give a fair platform for all parties to respond to these claims as the story develops.
Get to OK Furniture's massive birthday sale to shop, save and celebrate with up to 50% off. Grab party-worthy price cuts like 900 off the D5 323-litre metallic bottom freezer fridge with water dispenser. Now an incredible 5,999, or save a whopping 2,700 on the Eblo Komati Queen base set. Now only 4,799. That's our massive birthday sale only at OK Furniture.
Joseph Hartman was in and out of prison, dealing and doing drugs. Then a drug deal went wrong. Joseph was robbed, handcuffed, and scared straight out of the business. For 6 months, he roamed the streets as a homeless addict. Then one night, in a baseball dugout, Joseph met a stranger who totally changed his life.
I stand in awe of the power of the God who's our creator. And Terry and I sit here on this program, and the Lord speaks to us, and it's the word of knowledge. It's one of the manifestations of the Holy Spirit.
Something not always godly.
Always, that's right. That's right. Well, there's a lot of negative voices out there, as we know.
Yes, there are.
And
so how do you know when it's God saying, Perry, I want to speak this to you right now?
And sometimes you don't know. And I think you pray over it and you think about it. And sometimes you just, a lot of times I'll just envision, as you and I are talking here today, I may envision that I'm here talking with God. And how am I supposed to address this issue?
Okay. Realize Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is the same for you right now. So let's pray. Let's call on his name and let him do the rest for you. Let's pray.
Nampol Commissioner Ismail Basson worries that police stations could be overcrowded as essential workers and individuals applying for travel permits and people arrested for not adhering to the lockdown restrictions are increasing. Isai Sipunga has this report.
Although a noticeable reduction in the number of arrests due to curfew violations was noted between the 19th and 25th July 2021 compared to early July, there's a growing concern over the number of people queuing up for permits, says Comas Regional Commander Ismail Basson.
If you go around the different police stations, we also see that every day the police stations are queues and queues of people. And worst about that is also what we see according to our statistics is most of the people that is coming for issuing, the receiving of the traveling, it's people that are going for funerals. Yes, people are going for funerals. So that is another question: why are so many travelers, people going for funerals? So that is something that one must probably look at. How did these people die? Is it COVID related or is it something else? But again, the question is, what is difficult is the number of people that are coming to, whether it's COVID and so on. So that is another question for another day, for another investigation to say why so many people die.
The Namibian Correctional Service Commissioner of Central Staff, Sam Shalulange, says the space in prisons is reserved for serious offenders and not for those who refuse to adhere to curfew regulations. He therefore suggests that the public stick to the lockdown rules.
You know that there is the option of bail, but then there is the option of fine. Now, bail is when somebody is not sentenced to imprisonment. They are suspects, and then they can be released, and that is in the hands of the Namibian police force and the magistrate, of course, the judiciary, to grant bail. But fines, that is really upon families and friends to come and pay these fines on behalf of their families and friends who are incarcerated. And this will also contribute to decongesting our facilities. Offenders often get, this option of fine, whereby you are given something like, for example, you are told to say you are sentenced to 1 year or 1,000 Namibian dollars. And families can really come in and just pay this, and the people will be released.
Those that have been incarcerated and have the option to pay a fine or spend jail time, according to Shalulange, should try by all means to pay those fines. He says this would help decongest jail cells.
We can't wait to be together again. But until then, let's stay safe.
You can be tempted to become bitter and cynical. You're tempted. You're not there yet. Maar jy het besluit, man, die ding wat ek aangedoen is, gaan my verbitter, ek gaan my verbitter, maar so you feel to give yourself over to those emotions of becoming cynical and you can also be tempted to take revenge. Paulus sê, you have been grafted, julle is ingeënt in Christus. Wat Christus is, moet julle wees. Wat uit hierdie boom uitkom, ek is die ware wynstok, ek is eintlik die bron waaruit julle lewe. Dit moet in julle vrug wees. Julle moet smaak soos ek smaak, sê die Here. Kan ek 'n amen kry? Ek hou niks meer van julle terug nie. Julle is opgegradeer.
The establishment and successful operation of a travel and tourism agency by aspiring entrepreneurs remains a dream. This comes as the industry remains affected by the pandemic, but founders of the project also say getting much-needed financial assistance to fund the enterprise has proved futile. This report from Hendrina Caniolo.
The Gawasep family, in efforts to create employment for themselves and the community, embarked on a project in 2014 to establish an enterprise. Over the course of 5 years, they spent nearly $500,000 on research and development. But before they could launch and join the tourism industry, their plans were interrupted by the pandemic.
We are here at Amwonga Travels and Stays. So Amwonga basically, it means green experience. So we want to include like conservancies, conservation, as well as the communities. And we basically are a social enterprise. So we're looking at building communities, marginalized people, going far into the bush, and just introducing our tourists to the capacity that is within the bush or within the conservancies, and also empowering the communities that are there. We haven't started, we haven't been operational. We have just, as you can see, we have just organized ourselves to get a place to operate from, and we have been working on the site, the website. Yes, but that is also not 100% functional, but we have been working. There are some pictures that people can go to the website and see what we are about. Our profile is there and all of that.
The family wishes to offer travelers the opportunity to visit conservancies in the different parts of Namibia, but access to startup capital has been a challenge. Junior believes that this is due to lack of support from investors in small and medium enterprises.
The challenge in terms of what we hope to achieve, we are a technology company, but what we would like to call a hybrid technology company that basically delves in the space of tourism, but travel technology specifically. So when we researched, we first started in trying to sort of turn our house into a guest house. That was the first initial idea. And like Elmarie mentioned, because we come from a very social or sociable background as a family, and then later on that didn't work, it became an expensive endeavor, so I said, okay, what else can we do? Then we further researched. The tourism sector was the best sector for us because it dealt with people, and we came from a background where we sort of work with people. So the other thing was then, okay, how do we establish a company that can take care of the community and also take care of our needs as a family? And then we found the community-based tourism approach and the travel technology sector as being the most sort of suitable sector to venture into. So we then researched travel technology, we then researched the community-based tourism, and conservancies became like the ideal package or the ideal product that in terms of community-based tourism. What we have experienced in terms of the challenges to launch is the funding, and especially the appetite for funding startups such as ours. I don't know, I think in our local context, the investment context, people are investors are very risk evasive. And there's a huge misunderstanding between what an SME is and what a startup is. And if you look at a startup, it's basically someone taking an initiative, a high-risk initiative, and saying, okay, this is the idea, this is the problem, this is the idea that I have in terms of solving this problem. It's not yet there. It's not yet there. So I'm taking the risk, putting my own finances in to at least develop something, and then I would like extra funding, what they call seed funding, from whether it's family or whether it's local people close, or whether it's angel investors and so on. To invest in the idea, you sort of first have a prototype, a testing phase. And then after the testing phase, then you have now what they call the first round of Series A funding.
David Gavaseb, the technical support specialist of the team, further said that the government should work hard in funding youth projects in Namibia, as many are innovative.
At times I just feel like things are just being said. Like okay, I'm the Minister of Youth, at least I've said something for the year. Yeah, at least I've said something. That's how I feel. The minister maybe just say something, but when you do a follow-up on that, maybe you go to the minister's office and say, okay, no, Minister Agnes what said something like this, she addresses something like this, and I just want to do a follow-up, I'm looking for funding or stuff like that, because I'm a young entrepreneur, and yeah, like she stated, we must do something for ourselves to come out of this cycle of poverty and so on. So when you come there and maybe you ask for that funds, and then it's like the people act like they know nothing. They act like they know nothing, nothing is going on. Or when you ask for funding, they would say, no, this and that, the amount that you're asking for, it's too much. They would say, nah, $1 million is too much to fund your project, or stuff like that. So I'm just a bit, from my side, I'm just a bit frustrated that we as young entrepreneurs, we want to do something for ourselves. We have these brilliant $1 million ideas, but then when it comes to when you go to ask for funding and stuff like that, from my side, that's basically all. I just want the investors and everybody out there in the Namibian nation to please see to our outcry and to listen to what we have to listen to what we said, and to look into our vision and give it a try. This may not be a turnkey project, but this can also be it can have a very huge, massive impact on the youth, on the community, and in the country as large and in the whole.
The trio further urged government and local commercial banks to lessen their requirements when approached by youth for funding.
Why do we do it? Cover up, tone down, hide, instead of choosing boldness. Celebrate the skin you're in with Nivea Rich Nourishing. Our triple layered care of deep moisture serum, natural almond oil, and vitamin E enriches your skin for 48 hours. It's time to show off your best skin. Choose to wear your skin with pride every time with Nivea Rich Nourishing.
Dink jy sy het nog steeds abandonment issues?
Is moontlik.
Maar ons moeite met die sprokies. Ek probeer so hard om my kind gelukkig te maak, maar ek kry dit nie reg nie.
Probeer net help, dis al.
Jy doen niks sonder bymotiewe nie.
So jy hou van die tattoo?
Nee. Maar jy kan nie liefde koop nie. En beslis nie myne nie.
Jy regular.
Am I that predictable?
Jy is 'n gereelde klant en ons net soveel maniere om koffie te drink.
How do you like your coffee?
Gewoonlik swart sonder suiker.
Does black and bitter only pertain to your coffee preference?
Ek hou maar net van my koffie sonder melk. Hoe gaan dit 'n bal raak slaan na 2 glase wyn?
That was part of my plan.
Wat? Om 'n tipsie te maak sodat jy kan wen.
I'm terrible at papa.
In other leading stories, the Roads Authority has updated its operational measures at its NATIS offices and centers countrywide. The temporary suspension of bookings for learners' license testing has been extended until Friday the 6th of August 2021. Clients whose learners' licenses have expired between 1st July and 6th August 2021 will be allowed to book for driving license tests after the suspension of bookings has been lifted. The temporary suspension of bookings for driving license testing is also extended until Friday the 6th of August 2021. Only applicants with prior confirmed bookings will be assisted during the aforementioned period. Bookings for vehicle roadworthy tests will be limited and only a small number of vehicle roadworthy tests will be accommodated per day. To ensure safety protocols for both the clients and examiners, all vehicles that are booked for roadworthy and driving tests will be disinfected prior to the tests. In addition, clients are also encouraged to disinfect their vehicles regularly, particularly driving schools, public transport and goods vehicles. Other services such as the renewal of driving and vehicle licenses will still be offered at all the NATIS offices countrywide. And the governments of the Republic of Namibia and the Federal Republic of Germany are pleased to announce the arrival of a consignment of medical supplies from Germany to assist with the Namibian government's efforts to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 and its severe impacts on the public health system. This was a response to the request for support by the Namibian government under the EU Civil Protection Mechanism. The items donated include ventilators and all relevant accessories, pulse oximeters and PCR test kits valued at 4 million Namibia dollars. The shipment is one of several consignments donated by the German government with a total value of approximately 190 million Namibia dollars.
Get to OK Furniture's massive birthday sale to shop, save and celebrate with up to 50% off. Grab party-worthy price cuts like 900 off the D5 323-litre metallic bottom freezer fridge with water dispenser. Now an incredible 5,999, or save a whopping 2,700 on the Eblo Komati Queen base set. Now only 4,799. That's our massive birthday sale only at OK Furniture.
BBC's Smart Money program presents an exciting new technology segment dubbed Smart Tech.
Ghana have a problem of unemployment, also the problem of housing and schools under trees. Now Plus wants to use the problem of plastic waste to solve the problem of schools under trees, housing, and create more jobs for the youth in the country.
Bonjour. Hello, I am Sao Duniang, director of the Palms Luxury Boutique Hotel in Dakar. J'ai commencé. I started by cleaning a toilet. Today, I am the manager of my own 5-star hotel boutique with 60 employees. Étoile.
To give more people access to these life-saving vaccines, South Africa and India have proposed a waiver of COVID-19 patents. And the move seems to be gathering momentum after receiving the backing of the United States. But even if the patent waiver is indeed granted, can Africa manufacture these vaccines at scale?
Joseph Shifeni is standing by for today's edition of Business on One and Economic Indicators.
Thank you for joining me. I'm Joseph Shifeni for today's edition of Business on One as we touch on NamPay, an enhanced electronic payment system with Brian Kasherua, the CEO of the Bankers Association of Namibia. The association has introduced new online platforms that include streams that facilitate payment between banks. The electronic transfer systems are the enhanced credit payment system and the near real-time credit payment system. Stakeholders in the banking industry through collaborative efforts introduced a new initiative called NamPay. The Chief Executive Officer of the Bankers Association of Namibia said the enhanced electronic transfer system will transform the system that is already in use.
New credit payment system, which now deals with payments to beneficiaries through online platforms. You know that there's online banking, and you can actually take out your computer, put on your online credentials and sit there and pay somebody that you would want to pay for whatever reason. So that's basically a new credit payment system. Now that new credit payment system is enhanced by what we call the third component of NamPay, and that is the new near real-time system. And that near real-time system in essence basically enables the consumer to transfer funds in real time to any of their beneficiaries. So when we say in real time, the moment you click pay on your computer, the other person's cell phone, if they have cell phone banking, would then give them a notification almost instantaneously that you are now paid by X for X. And of course there will always be a reference as to where the money is coming from for that matter.
Kashairua further said that the NamPay system will greatly benefit the banking public and commended the technical teams from member banks that made the system a reality.
There is something called credit tracking system. So that credit tracking system is simply just a system that allows your creditors to keep checking in your account whether there is money hitting your account. Let's say if you were not able to pay at month end. For up to 14 days, that system helps them collect against your account, but at no cost to yourself. Okay? It's just, of course, the creditor must be paid. I mean, insurance policies must be paid, and the car must be paid, the home loan must be paid. So it is just a fallback position to say that, look, let us give a fair chance for up to 14 days. It doesn't mean that you should only pay your debit orders on the 14th day because there's credit tracking in any event, because you would have incurred the fees. before credit tracking is actually implemented. And of course, credit tracking is also not mandatory for every creditor to consider.
According to the association, all banks have started with the process of migrating customers to the new platforms. As he asked for patience from members of the public, the CEO also said member banks are ready to answer any queries from their clients on NamPay. And that is all we have for you. Thank you for joining us. And don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Winter is here. Let's warm you up by giving you a chance to win one of 12 gas heaters and accessories or a grand prize of 50,000 Namibian dollars. To enter the Winter Warmers competition, simply buy any combination of 2 or more of the following participating brands: Baker's, Five Roses, Fresh Pack, Frisco, or Hug in a Mug, and SMS WINTER to 445. And remember to keep your till slip as proof of purchase. Promotions run from the 1st of May to the 31st of July. For more information and entry details, visit 99fm.com.na. T's and C's apply.
You've been supporting us since we opened our doors, so we're here for you. You could be one of thousands of SPAR customers to win your shopping for free, instantly, with SPAR Rewards. Come in and get Nescafe Recoffee for only $69.99 and Nestle Cremora for just $29.99. We're here for you.
Now we look at Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. The Bankers Association of Namibia and partners from the banking industry recently introduced a new electronic banking system called NamPay. One of the components of the system is the enhanced collection process that will charge a penalty fee of 1.5% on unpaid debit orders on accounts. The regulation on charges that go up to $200 Namibia was set by the central bank. Rowan says it's not a good thing, asking whether there is customer protection on this. Meke says she will cancel all her debit orders. While PK noted that banks are daylight robbers. And despite the mayor of Windhoek, Job Amupanda, assuring inhabitants of Tobias Hanyeku that a decision on the way forward would be made on the 5th of August 2021, the locals have chosen to reconstruct their shacks. According to the community activists, people from other areas are also taking advantage of the situation by erecting completely new shacks to rent out. Titus noted that these people are not against anyone, adding that their only hope is the current leadership. While Easy Life and Rumsey noted that people should understand that the mayor has little power to make decisions. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast only on Today on 1.
Are you a
CMS member? With HospiCash 100, you can get up to 100,000 Namibian dollars cover with a 30,000 limit per event from as little as 100 Namibian dollars a month. We understand that being in hospital can be stressful. That is why with HospiCash 100, you can cover your non-medical expenses by receiving cash payouts when you are in hospital, so you can recover stress-free. Interested? SMS your name and HospiCash to 555 and we will call you back.
We can't wait to be together again and play until the sun comes up. But until then, let's stay safe.
What contribution diamonds have made to Namibia's development, particularly post-independence?
The Namibian diamond is special because they say it has a higher jewelry value than other diamonds. When you take 100 diamonds in other countries, I don't know, just a certain percentage can be used for jewelry, but for the Namibian diamonds, you can use a much higher percentage of diamonds for jewelry.
Namibian diamonds are really not mined from a kimberlite pipe. They are what we call alluvial. Obviously, through the process of running through the big river, they have been rounded and they are nice. The shape, or what we call the shape, is quite nice from a manufacturing perspective.
Time now for today's sports update with Charo Musiandaka.
Welcome to Sports on One. I'm Charo Musiandaka. This year's Team Namibia that will represent the country at the 2020 Under-20 World Athletics Championship in Nairobi in August consists of 6 athletes, of which 5 are females and 1 is male. In an exclusive interview with Sports on One, Athletics Namibia president expressed excitement with the development of female athletes in the country. Let's cross over to Castro Lumbu who has more on this story.
Athletics in Namibia was mostly dominated by male compatriots, with the likes of legendary marathon runner Lucas Swartboy and 200-meter sprinter Frankie Fredericks being the flag bearers at international competitions. Recently, new diamond female gems have been found and are looking to emulate what Fredericks have done during his time. Sports on One sat down with the president of Athletics Namibia, Erwin Naiwaka, on the latest developments.
Our culture that we are busy developing is not to dwell on challenges. Challenges are there to be met, but sometimes when you focus on challenges, they end up being a distraction. We rather dwell on the things that we are doing very well, the opportunities that we see, and we see a lot of opportunities. And if I can just mention one of the opportunity, and it's kind of surprised me somehow that in the past, if you look at our history as athletics, it used to be a little bit more dominated from the male side, from the guys. It was more the guys that were doing very well at the different levels, regionally, continentally, internationally, and the Lucas Swart boys, the Reinhard Ida, the Frankie Fredericks, of course. Yes, we had here Agnes Samaria, the Elizabeth Mungudi, and so on. But what I'm seeing now is the girls' side is really coming up. Not only, started with Hilaria bringing us gold from the Commonwealth, a bronze medal from the World Championships. She's going again to the Olympics with Beatrice and Christine coming on the scene. We have a team going to the Olympics consisting of 3 women and 1 guy. It's the same again for the World Under-20, a team consisting of 5 girls and one guy. So I'm very excited and very happy that our women are actually stepping up and making us very proud. I see a lot of potential girls that are currently, and with Beatrice and Christine, the motivation among the athletes is just super, and we are very excited about that. So it's just for everybody to come on board, give us the support that we need, and I tell you, the next Rio Olympics, we should be able to be doing very well at those games.
The IAAF World Junior Championships competitions was launched in athletics in 1986 as a competition by the World Athletics. This international competition is contested by athletics in the under-20 age category and must be 19 years old or younger on 31 December in the year of the competition. Naimwaka welcomed the competition, stating that it helps with athletics development and provides greater exposure to the younger athletes.
This is a very recent introduction of a competition, the under-20, and that is coming from the realization of some of the challenge, especially for the transition between athletes leaving school that have been doing athletics at school, and then after they leave school, then there was nothing, there was a gap, and then they find themselves having to compete against the senior athletes, and sometimes because of the high standards at the senior level, that has proved to be a discouragement, and therefore it was an impediment in terms of progression, in terms of development, athletes moving from school. That transition was missing, so that they still remain in athletics. So that is the importance of that game, and we are very happy about it from our side. We will try to replicate it in terms of our competition structure, so that we facilitate for this group, so that we have a clear and a very good progression in terms of our athletes coming from school, that they still have a platform, competition platform, and then move into senior competition.
There will be 156 plus 2 nations and 1,462 athletes participating at the Games in 44 events. The Games are set to take place in Nairobi, Kenya from the 17th to the 22nd of August 2021.
Well, that's all we have time for you today on Sports on One. Please watch us again tomorrow, and also don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. Well, back to you, Maggie.
Thank you, Charo, for the latest in sports. Time now for the weather forecast.
Now a look at the weather forecast, but first an advisory from the Windhoek office. Heatwave conditions will set in the Namib and coastal parts by Friday. The interior will be partly cloudy and mild in the south, otherwise sunny and mild to warm. The coast will be partly cloudy and mild with fog patches in the south. Wind will be light to moderate southwesterly. Now let's have a look at the minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
We have come to the end of this evening's edition of Today on One. Catch a repeat at 9:30 this evening and the Omnibus Saturdays from 9 to 2. From me, Maggie Forciedo, and the rest of the team, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
India's Ranthambore Reserve in Rajasthan is home to the rare Bengal tigers. Every year, John Isaac, an Indian-born photographer, travels from New York City to document the lives of these majestic animals.
In the last 10 years, I think my interest has grown tenfold, and I'm very particular about the survival of the tigers.
His goal is to make sure that people everywhere know about the grave danger Bengal tigers face: extinction. John holds seminars and photographic exhibitions from his visits to Ranthambore to raise awareness of the plight of these tigers. He's currently working on a book to document their dilemma due to an increasing human population encroaching on their territory. According to John and wildlife experts, each tiger needs as much as 9 square kilometers to survive, just under 4 square miles. The relationship between tigers and people has always been difficult, but now, with much less territory to roam, tigers often wander into human settlements.
The conflict between the villagers and the tigers has always been there, and then government tries to compensate. If a tiger kills a goat or a cow, they pay a certain amount to the villagers.
In the past, tigers used migration corridors or routes followed by wildlife for travel between summer and winter habitats. Now these pathways have been taken over by people who use them as living quarters and to reap firewood.
We are trying to work with the communities living around and trying to reduce their forest dependency so that we can conserve this corridor patch for the smooth and easy movement of tigers.
Jamuna Devi, a farmer, lives near one of the migratory corridors. She used to depend on the forest for grazing pastures. Now, thanks to a World Wildlife Fund initiative, Jamuna no longer needs to rely on the forest for her family's survival. The secret? Introducing new alternative crops closer to her home.
साल बोया हमने खुद ने और ये तो अभी यही साल बोया है ये आया होया कांदा है हम 25 रोज को तो तारीख को तो बोया ही है और रोज बा में अंतर तो आगा भूलने लगा.
The success of this project has led to even more changes. Jamuna decided to plant fodder for her cattle on her excess land to further preserve the habitat of the tigers. She has also switched to cooking gas so that she doesn't have to collect forest wood for fuel.
जंगल में सब दुनिया ने जहाँ छोड़ दिया तो सब बे होगी कोई काम नहीं करा लकड़ी को भी नहीं करा जंगल में जाने से भी परेशान है दुनिया गैस भेज दिया सबन के घर घर में वे सभी सिलेंडर पकड़ते हैं और रुपया को कोई समझते ही नहीं है अब भीतर भरा लावे.
Climate change also has a direct impact on the habitat of tigers.
The last 2 or 3 years, they say, there's been a drought. The rains have not been regular.
Climate change is a serious problem in this country, even it's in the continent. So keeping these forest areas alive and protected is the only solution. This year we have raised a nursery of 10,000 saplings. Forest department have shown their interest. They bought around 2,000, 3,000 saplings.
The idea is to plant new trees to replace those lost to severe weather conditions and human activity. Poaching used to be a major threat to Bengal tigers. But thankfully, the number of big cats killed by poachers has plummeted due to measures implemented by law enforcement agencies, resulting in less demand for tiger products. especially the introduction of camera traps and digital apps, which automatically take photos of moving tigers and suspicious persons moving around in the forest.
Every time I hear something like that, I feel so good. In some ways, some things are working, and so this is what drives me to come and do this. In my lifetime, if the tigers are extinct, I don't know how I'll handle that.
This report was produced by Mary Ferreira for the United Nations.
More than ever before, football fans demand unique insight and analysis. The Football Review is much more than a highlights show. Bold, provocative editorial that goes beyond conventional reporting, setting the agenda for football discussion. Champions League, Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, Liga 1, and much more. Want genuine insight with hard-hitting editorial? Need compelling premium football content? The Football Review. Best, bar none.
Hi beautiful souls, this is Nikita Winkler and I am here to share easy tools for stretching that you can do just about anywhere. This is a demonstration, so what's most important is that you take the time in each position that your body needs to release its tension. In this session, we will stretch the hips. What you'll need are yoga blocks or books, thick books, or pillows, especially if you have tight hips. You can do this on a mat, on the floor, on a blanket, or even in your bed. Let's get started. So we're going to start on the floor with the soles of our feet together. I'm going to grab around the feet. This is a butterfly position. So in order to warm up the hips, I'm just going to flap the butterfly wings. And again, take your time. I'm going to lean forward, and here, again, if the hips are too tight, you can place your blocks, books, or pillows underneath. You might even feel a stretch in the back here. From this position, I'm going to take one arm right behind me, not too far from my body. The other arm, inhale, exhale, press the hip open. And come back to center. Change. One arm right behind me to lengthen the spine, the other hand on the knee. Inhale, exhale, press the hip open and back to center. Now we're going to lie down on the floor. And first, before I get started, I have to make sure that my body, my spine is in alignment. I'm going to just open up the neck area. And you can spend as much time as you need here, allowing the force of gravity to weigh on the legs to open up the hips. You can place your blocks, books, or pillows underneath the knees. And gradually, you can take the feet even further down and spend enough time in each position. From here, we're going to go into an internal hip rotation. I'm going to spread my feet to the side, lean the knees inwards. If you have a little bit more flexibility, you don't really feel the stretch, just take your feet even further apart to deepen this internal rotation stretch in your hips. From here, I'm just going to place my feet, and without repositioning the feet, I'm going to take my arms to the side, and then I'm just going to rock my legs side to side, keeping the upper body facing up, shoulders down. And then I'm going to stop on one side, take the lower leg over the upper to add weight, to deepen the stretch. Release the leg and switch. Other side, lower over the upper. And back to center. Last part, I'm going to spread my legs as wide open as I can, and I'm going to just row the boat. So what's important here is that the knees don't lift off the floor. Make sure you row both sides. Keep the knees and both bum cheeks on the floor. Alternatively, you can just lean forward. You can hang out on the pillow. Take your time on the blocks or on your books. And that is it. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to breathe into your stretches, and happy stretching.
Man, you've got to be anything. He should be everything. Strength provider, the architect of every ring. Experience penny years, see the face of God and live.
I pray to God for my enemy. Why you ready? Why you baby? Wanna get Insta baby, Insta baby, Insta baby. Why you lying? Everybody shake what your mama gave ya. Everybody move what your mama gave ya. Everybody shake what your mama gave ya. Everybody move, yeah, lost the fact.
You are now watching the V10 Countdown.
COVID-19 affects people very differently. Many people show no symptoms at all, but some are hospitalized for weeks. So what does the disease do to your body? The coronavirus enters through the mouth, nose or eyes. It then usually attaches itself to cells lining the nose, throat, airways or lungs. It can turn these cells into factories that multiply and spread the virus. For the majority, a fever, cough and breathlessness are as bad as it gets. But the virus can damage the small blood vessels lining the lungs and initiate clotting. The alveoli are tiny air sacs where oxygen goes into the blood. If they become inflamed, it can trigger pneumonia. Seriously ill patients need to be given oxygen as the lungs fill with fluid and debris.
I legit couldn't breathe. My oxygen meter was measuring under 88% oxygen levels, which is very dangerous. And the only time I ever thought my life was in danger was at that point.
COVID-19 doesn't just affect the lungs. It can also disrupt the immune system, which is used by the body to fight illnesses. Cytokines are part of the immune system that find and signal infections. For some people with severe COVID-19, this system can go into overdrive. If too many cytokines build up, it can cause an overreaction that damages healthy cells. This is called a cytokine storm for the most severe cases. COVID-19 can lead to seizures or even a coma. It can also cause brain problems that lead to strokes. The immune system overreacting can cause clots that stop the blood supply to parts of the brain. Brain inflammation, psychosis and dementia-like symptoms can also affect seriously ill patients. The average length of the illness is 14 days, but many people have symptoms for much longer. Breathing problems and post-viral fatigue last for months in some cases.
I cannot walk for long simply because I will feel a little bit short of breath and I feel the need to sit down. And that's something that has never happened to me before.
Some of the people who are most likely to develop severe symptoms are older adults and those with underlying health conditions. It's not fully known how anyone will react to COVID-19 until they get it. So it's important for everyone to follow health guidance. What precautions are you taking to stay safe?